Welcome, Ports fans. I'm Michael Bridges, Director of Development at Parks California. We're the statutory nonprofit partner of California State Parks and the Ports program. We're gathered here this afternoon to celebrate Parks Online Resources for Teachers and Students program. Ports, the state parks program that brings state parks to students on Zoom. Specifically, we're celebrating a major milestone in the Ports program. That is, reaching more than 1 million students with virtual tours of parks led by state park interpreters in every part of California. Today, you'll get to meet some of the Ports pioneers, those who were there at the very beginning. We'll also hear from educators, administrators, interpreters, and students. Today's program is live on Zoom, just like Ports, with just a couple of pre-recorded videos in the mix. And as every interpreter, ranger, and educator will tell you, every live Ports program is an adventure. Today's no exception. There's much to come, and we're glad you're here to thank and celebrate Ports. So let's jump right in with one of those videos I mentioned. We'll throw it back a ways and look at Ports through the years.
From its humble beginnings, shepherding technology and innovation in the classroom. The Ports program connects staff at California's beautiful state parks with students in the classroom and online to learn, to steward, to wonder. Parks California celebrates this monumental achievement of 1 million students experiencing the Ports program. None of this would have been possible had it not been for the leadership provided by so many people. And today, we are here to celebrate those individuals and to say thank you.
Before anyone was doing online teaching, a group of educators, technologists, and parks people had an idea for bringing parks to students online. Video conferencing was for Dick Tracy and the White House Situation Room 17 years ago, but these dedicated educators, innovators, and public servants began work on this idea, which last year during the pandemic became a lifeline and now has reached more than 1 million students. 1 million students, congratulations, Ports. Well, you saw in that video images from the early days of Ports. Today, we're welcoming Ports pioneers Joe Von Herman, Andrew Schockler, and Alan Friedman. Hey, everybody. So glad you could join us. I want to ask each one of you to just take a minute to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing now and your role in Ports and what the thinking was in those early days of Ports, the beginning of this century. Joe, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Back then, Donna Posey, the chief of interpretation, had hired me from being an interpreter at Calaveras Big Trees to come to Sacramento and work with Alan Friedman to figure out some way that we could use all, this new interweb thing or whatever Donna called it at the time. And she asked me to do two things, try to leverage that for interpretation and to keep Alan out of her office.
Alan, what's your side of the story?
Well, back in 2001, I we had modem lines out to all of our park units. And so I was desperate to come up with ways to justify better connectivity. About the same time, we heard stories about how the K through 12 network was starting to invest millions of dollars in a high-speed network for the schools of California. And we also saw that they were really hungry for good content to justify this new network. So we put two together, and we realized that state parks has some of the most compelling educational content that you can imagine for use on this new network. And we found that there was a tremendous amount of synergy, and the K through 12 community just jumped on the idea of connecting with state parks. And it was a great opportunity for state parks to really focus on the education component of our mission.
Super. Andrew, tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in ports and what you were thinking in those early days.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Andrew Schlocker. And in 2004, I was preparing to graduate Cal State Monterey Bay as a computer science major, focusing on streaming media and video distribution. And my advisor was Dr. John Idelson. And he recommended a project that would be sponsored by his Idea Lab and the California State Parks. And they teamed together to create electronic field trips to serve ports, its direct mission. And what a great opportunity this was going to be for my senior capstone. So he brought me down to what was affectionately called the Blue Room at Seacliff, which was essentially a storage facility for park operations. And over the course of the next 4 to 6 months, I set off on my capstone project, everything from client's needs assessment, design, layout, equipment scoping, installations. I provided a studio operations manual and even a 3 to 5 minute video introducing students and teachers to video conferencing, right? It was a new style of learning. And I just continued through that project to install the studio lighting and the acoustical treatments and the chroma key screen. And some of the gear we used, when I look back on that list, a Polycom View Station EX video conferencing system, right? Not to get too technical, but like a 2 megabits per second IP of full duplex video, right? I mean, that's dinosaur. Our total budget was about $42K, but I had a great experience, and I am so lucky and so grateful to John and everyone really who helped me through that capstone and a real world project that I was able to use to help in my career. But when I share that experience, it's not about what I did to graduate, it's about what the mission of the project accomplished and helping the underserved learn through this innovative manner at that time. So thank you for including me in this momentous occasion. I was a young adult with a career change and finishing my education late in life, and with John's guidance and this opportunity to work with the state and ports, it changed the course of my life. Today, I manage global services operations for Zoom.
All three of you are state park technology and education heroes. Andrew, I hear you not to get too technological, and then there's 40 or 50 words that I've never heard before. Hey, Joe and Alan and Andrew, I want to hear from everybody, but Joe, how do you feel about ports today?
Very gratified, very hopeful, a little bit concerned, but I am very, very proud of the framework that we put together. I mean, back when we were first trying to figure out what to do, we came up with, the parameters within which ports would work, the ditches between where we try to stay. And there was like 8 of them, and I'm really gratified that Brad has continued to adhere to those. I mean, they're very simple. I mean, everything must be mission based. I mean, there's so much that comes at you when you're trying to do new things, but you have to weed out those things and just really stay with our mission. And specifically what we were trying to do to help the mission move forward was to reach underserved audiences, to reach students that traditionally hadn't used state parks. And then hopefully we could have workforce parity in the future. We could have the people that work for the state parks look like the people that live in California, but we'd have to inspire them and get them to want to be. So one, it was just all mission-based. We managed on a managerial level, which sounds pretty simple, but almost no park interpretive programs did that. They were all run by seasonal interpreters, and when they went away, the programs went away.
Alan, did you ever think that you'd be reaching 1 million students?
I never did. I am incredibly jealous of all the technology that I'm seeing here today. That it is just leaps and bounds beyond what we had, and the professionalism of the Ports program and having such a great partner in Parks California to help support it is just an incredible opportunity for not only the Department of Parks and Recreation, but also for all the students in K through 12.
Well, speaking of interpreters all around the state, in a few minutes, we're going to actually go to an interpreter live. But when we return in a second, we're going to hear from an administrator in the nation's second largest school district about using Ports, and also from the current Ports program director.
Parks California is a proud supporter and partner of the Ports program. The Ports program is not only available to students in California, but to students across the country. Working throughout the state of California to bridge the connection between students and their parks, the Ports program relies on the support of individuals across the United States. Consider texting PORTS to 707070 to pledge your support today.
Welcome back, everybody. We want to welcome Jana Davenport, who is a principal in Granada Hills, California, and also Brad Cray, the Ports program manager. Thanks to both of you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Great
Mike.
to be here.
Jana, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about getting started with Ports. I think at the time you were teaching in the Los Angeles Unified School District. We'd love to know why you adopted Ports in the classroom and how it impacted teaching there.
I would love to tell you about the beginning phases of our experience with Ports. And of course, it involves Brad Cray, program manager now. But yes, at the time, I believe it was 2007. This was about my 15th, 16th year in the classroom in elementary school. And it was a really precarious but exciting time in education because this whole idea of instructional technology was just becoming a conversation. And someone in the Los Angeles Unified School District reached out to me and said, hey, we have this contraption that we'd like you to give it a try. And they wheeled into my classroom on this big cart, this Star Trek looking thing, and told me that we were going to be able to have a live interaction with a park ranger interpreter and do a virtual field trip. And they introduced me to Brad. And, you know, the really important thing about that moment was that I was skeptical, scared, intimidated by all of it. And Brad stepped in, showed me how to work the technology. And from there, we went on to trying to find one of these contraptions, the Polycom View Station FX, to keep at our own school site. So we didn't have to check it out from the district office every time we wanted to run a field trip.
Brad, how were you feeling? Were you winging it, or did you know this was going to work?
Yeah, we were definitely winging it. And we wung it at Jana's school and hundreds of other schools. At that time, I was working throughout Southern California to do, similarly get teachers and school districts involved with the program. But, and every setup was different, right? Because every classroom is different anywhere you go. But we had great people to work with. We had great teachers, administrators, technology people, technology departments. And it was very precarious because you would click go or dial an IP address and you would just hope that the person was there on the other side and that the connectivity was good. I mean, I never knew about duplex, full duplex. I still don't know about that stuff, but I know it works, which is, 20 years later, it's working magnificently and we can do all of these things. But it was building this relationship with Jana and LAUSD teachers was amazing because at the heart of what we were trying to do was give access to their students to these places that they don't even know exist for them to learn and explore. And we have countless stories about technology and being in closets, literally trying to plug things in, and hearing from teachers about how these programs were so important because their kids never left kind of the square of the 4 freeways that encompass their community in Los Angeles. So yeah, it was precarious and winging it, but man, we made it work most of the time.
We sure did, Brad.
Yeah, the technology sounds like it was a challenge that you really overcame. I'm interested, I think we'd all be interested to know about how the Ports program impacts teaching in terms of the science, natural sciences, and all kinds of different teaching aspects.
Yeah, one of the beautiful things about the Ports program was not only this idea that we could have this live interaction with the rangers, interpreters at the parks, and that our kids were going to be exposed to things and ideas, concepts that they had never heard and seen before, but that they had this entire curricular piece to back it up. And so our teachers were able to go in and prepare students for this wonderful session that we were going to have, virtual field trip, and then also follow it up with activities. So the amount of enrichment and exposure that was given to students that otherwise would not have had this was incredible. And the fact that you guys have reached now 1 million students is it's incredible. It's an amazing achievement, considering that really we were doing this 34 students at a time. My school at the time had 700 students. And the first time I shared this resource, Ports, with my fellow colleagues, we at that moment created a calendar, looked on the Ports line, and everybody signed up for a field trip. The most rewarding thing was when my students would come back and show me pictures of them with the rangers and interpreters, writing reports on the experiences they had, sharing with their friends the excitement of it, because they would not have even known that these places exist, that these animals, these ecosystems, all of it were even out there for them to enjoy. And so it opened up an entire world to them, and we're so grateful.
Opens up an entire world. Fabulous. And that broad adoption early on was a real sign of how popular the program might become. Hey, Brad, I know how much you love Ports and the teachers and students and interpreters. We're here to celebrate Ports and everyone involved. I just wonder if you want to tell us what it means to you that all these students have access to California's parks in this way.
Yeah, I mean, 1 million kids is quite a bit. I mean, I don't think I even thought it would get this big. And of course, I think we had a little help from a global pandemic to get more people involved with distance learning. But it's an amazing feat. And I think what's really impressive is the work that we did with JANA and LAUSD and a lot of other school districts, that made an impression. The students that we still serve most are the school districts that adopted Ports early on, which we know teachers and principals and administrators, they've retired and moved on, but this continues to be a part of their curriculum and their learning experience. And like Jana said, in education, what we were trying to do was, at the time, and we're still doing it, maybe a little bit less, but is teach the academic content standards in the context of that state park. So where I am here, normally we're teaching elephant seals and elephant seal adaptations and evolution. And that's something that students learn in 7th grade. And so not every teacher is comfortable with or knows enough about evolution to teach it. So we'll teach it with you. We'll teach it for you. We'll teach it with your students. So it's been an amazing journey for 17 years for me, 7 years leading it, and 10 years working in Southern California. And just super excited to keep working on it.
Well, Brad and Jana, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon to talk a little bit about that. So we'll be right back, and we're going to go to Parker Grand at California's Gaviota State Park Beach. Hey, Parker, how are you?
Oh, good. How are you doing?
Good, good. Hey, tell us a little bit about, tell us first of all, where exactly are you?
Yes, so my name's Parker, and I am coming to all of you today from the beautiful Gaviota State Park. It's a beautiful afternoon, and we are located approximately 30 miles to the west of Santa Barbara, California.
Now, tell us a little bit about what exactly you show to students there. And we also want to know why it's important to show the students the things that you can show them there at Gaviota.
Yes, so we are located along the beautiful Channel Coast. Off in the distance, on a nice clear day, we can see the Channel Islands. And so this is an extremely biologically productive ecosystem that we share with students. And we share with them the importance of the wildlife species here. On days like today, when we have low tide, sometimes we'll go tide pulling and checking out some of those creatures and discovering the amount of bird species that come to our park and the importance of pollution as well in protecting our parks and outdoor spaces. So those are some of the few of the many different topics that we share from Gaviota with teachers and students.
Well, we're super interested. So you talk about the importance of the wildlife species and so forth there. Give us some specifics. Let's, what if we're students in a classroom, what would you tell us?
Yeah, so I would share with you all about really what those animals are and why they're important to this area. And some of these species have unique breeding grounds around here, or some of these species might have some unique adaptations. I know lately when we've been meeting with students, it's been pretty amazing to be able to share with them the pelicans that have been lining up both sides of our pier. And that's been amazing for a lot of these students because many of them have never had the opportunity to see pelicans before.
Well, it's really amazing to me that you are right there at Gaviota State Park Beach, coming to us right here in our living rooms and classrooms. Speaking of classrooms, we're going to be joined now by a teacher, Nicole Williams from Salinas, California. And Nicole's joining us, and her class has actually enjoyed one of your programs. Hi, Nicole.
Hi. Hi.
How are you? Tell us where you are.
I'm in Salinas, California. I'm at Sherwood Elementary School. It's the Salinas Elementary School District.
And what grade do you teach?
I teach 5th grade.
Fantastic. Now, let's see. Now, what parks have you visited through the Ports program?
Through the Ports program, I visited my very first park a couple months ago with Ranger Parker at Gaviota State Park.
Tell us a little bit about the day that Ports brought you and your students to Gaviota State Park.
It was fabulous. I signed up for the program Understanding Marine Plastic Pollution. I wanted to connect and teach my students about habitats, ecosystems, and human destruction on those habitats. With Parker, we talked about the decomposers at Gaviota State Park. We talked about the natural wildlife. We also talked about the impact that plastic is kind of destroying certain parts of the ecosystem.
About it.
My students were shocked that that plastic had that effect. Students were super excited to see the park. I thought it was very impactful because my students weren't used to looking at nature with kind of a scientific eye. So Parker showed us how to look at something and look at the impact, and wow, that fly that we're learning about is more than just a fly. It's part of a whole chain.
That's fantastic. Okay, so Parker, do you remember the class?
Yes, I do. It was so much fun.
I bet you do. Now, how many of these programs do you do, Parker?
Yes, so I do anywhere between 6 to 8 programs a week.
Oh my goodness, wow. Well, Nicole, it sounds like you had a great experience and your students learned all kinds of things that they might not have otherwise learned. I'm curious to know, I don't really know, how far are you from Gaviota State Park Beach?
Oh, we must be 3 or 4 hours from that. Yeah, we're quite a distance. And I want to say that even though I'm from Salinas, so maybe 20, 30 minutes, my students don't have daily, weekly access to the beach or to nature, really. We're kind of we kind of live a little bit in a concrete community. So it was kind of just great in real time to be able to see the beach, to see the nature as part of our school day.
Fantastic. Hey, Nicole, what would you like to say to Parker or the Ports team since we're all here together?
I appreciate this so much. It was such a great opportunity. And especially now we don't have access to field trips because of the pandemic. So this was even more important and so exciting for our day. Students just loved it. They connected in real time. He answered their questions. We got to meet his dog. Students were super interested in being a ranger as a career path too, which wasn't something I had anticipated. So I appreciate all of it. And I'm so thankful that this is an opportunity that's available to my students and me.
Fantastic. Parker, do you have any closing words for us before we move away from Gaviota?
Yes, and just like Nicole said, like so many students ask me really like what it takes to do what I do as an interpreter and to be able to share this amazing place. And they say how cool it is. You get to work at the beach every day. And I always share with them too that I started volunteering for California State Parks when I was in 4th grade, and a lot of their students that I meet with are in 4th and 5th grade. And so I use that to really help to try to inspire them to become the next generation of environmental stewards.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. Hey, everybody, when we come back, we're going to hear from the Director of California State Parks, Armando Quintero. But first, this message.
Parks California is a proud supporter and partner of the Ports program. Working throughout the state of California to bridge the connection between students and their parks, the Ports program relies on the support of individuals across the United States. Consider texting PORTS to 707070 to pledge your support today.
A port is a haven or a safe harbor. Portal is a doorway or an entrance or a gateway. My name's Armando Quintero, and I'm the director of the California State Park System. And I'm here today to congratulate the staff of the Parks Online Resources for Teachers and Students program, or PORTS, just like I said at the beginning. And I'm congratulating all of you for engaging with more than 1 million students with the virtual tours of state parks that you all have been working on for a number of years now. What an incredible way to connect children to our state's iconic natural and cultural resources. Last year, the Ports program reached students in 53 of 58 counties in the state of California. That's pretty astonishing. And those virtual field trips may be for some students the very first time that they got to see live these various places in California, including giant sequoias, tide pools, beautiful streams recently refreshed by these incredible rains. It took state parks 15 years to reach the 500,000 student mark, and due to the unique circumstances of this recent pandemic, which we're still dealing with, an additional 500,000 students got to visit parks via Ports. So we've hit the 1 million student and family mark, which is really an amazing milestone. This program was uniquely positioned with the trained staff of state parks and being able to work with teachers and students and bring relevant programming to these classrooms, including the use of technology that students and teachers are familiar with. So we were able to augment these classroom experiences with real places and real people in live or real time. It was just great. The growth of this program demonstrates the importance and the relevance to teachers in the work that they're doing in our classrooms, particularly in the current construct of the world that we're living in because of COVID. So to all the parks employees who are working on the Ports program, including those staff that are supporting you in delivering these programs, thank you. You are laying a foundation for a future that is going to be incredible and even more powerful in terms of bringing experiences to the classroom, not only from around the state, but from beneath the ocean surface, which I know we've already done a few programs like that, which are really pretty astonishing. For students to be able to talk to park rangers who are on the bottom of the ocean floor and speaking in real time, it's truly astonishing. And thank you to our partners at Parks California for being a partner to ports. You've provided powerful support in bringing funding to this program in terms of equipment, training for staff, software licenses, and you are helping us to expand this important program, not only statewide in terms of the parks, but statewide in the hopes that we will be reaching students in every single county of the state of California. Today, I'm speaking to you from the ancestral lands of the Coast Miwok people. Earlier today, I was out on Tamales Bay. And Tamales Bay is a body of water that sits in the rift zone of the San Andreas Fault. On the west side of the bay is Tamales Bay State Park, and it sits on the Pacific Plate, which is actually a granitic island that was torn off the very tail end of the Southern Sierra and moved up the coast over millions of years and now sits just north of San Francisco. And across that bay of Tamales is another set of state parks, including Marconi Cove Conference Center. And I was out there today, it was absolutely gorgeous. And at the moment, I am at Samuel P. Taylor, an extraordinary grove of coast redwoods and a spectacular place that is regularly visited by families and students. And when we arrived just a few minutes ago, there are still people picnicking and wandering the forest and the streams of this beautiful park. And what you're seeing right now is what Porks brings to life to students around California, and it really is a gift. So, thank you for the work on these virtual field trips. You are deepening a connection and interest on the part of many people in California and honestly around the world. So my deep and sincere thanks to the employees of state parks who work on this, and again, to our dear friends at Parks California. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Director Quintero, for sending in that fabulous message. And thanks for your encouragement. So I want to remind everyone that if you want to support the Ports program, you can text Ports to 707070 to help us provide equipment and licenses and all that kind of thing. Now, let's get back to the live show by going back to the parks. We're going to visit Leslie at Año Nuevo State Park. Hey, Leslie.
Hi.
How are you?
How are you? I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, tell us exactly where you are.
Today, I'm located on the central coast of California, just outside the Santa Cruz County border in a town of Pescadero, and I'm at Año Nuevo State Park.
Fantastic. And so what exactly do you do there? And when you are meeting with students, what kinds of things are you able to tell them about?
So I do two ports programs based out of Año Nuevo State Park. I do a mammal identification program, which is really fun. And I teach students how to identify mammals. And we talk about why scientists group animals into different categories. And then we talk about why animals have certain characteristics on their bodies. How does it help them to stay alive? And then I also do a program about elephant seal evolution and adaptation. And that one is so fun because we get to come out onto the beach, see the elephant seals live. We might see an elephant seal give birth on the beach. We might see elephant seals fighting or nursing their babies. And you never know what you are gonna see in a rookery during the winter time, during mating season, and it's wonderful.
Fantastic. Now, when you talk about the opportunity to identify mammals, what mammals might you identify there aside from elephant seals?
Right. So we have lots of deer. We have foxes. We see coyotes. And we also have ground squirrels. We see lots of bobcats. We have mountain lions. So some of the things that we talk to students about is what's covering an animal's skin. All mammals have the ability to grow hair and fur. And a really fun part of that program is talking about marine mammals. There are some marine mammals that don't have hair or fur. And why is that? And so they have an opportunity to learn to take a deeper look at the wildlife that they're seeing in front of their eyes.
Now, here I am getting an education as we speak. Everything you say, I'm making a mental note. I'm learning something about this. Fantastic. Now, when are we going to see the elephant seals? Now, I don't know if there's any elephant seals behind you right now, but tell us about the season.
So elephant seals can be found at Año Nuevo year-round. Matter of fact, there's one elephant seal behind me. You probably can't see the little guy because it blends in pretty well or camouflages with the sand. But we start to see a larger number of elephant seals arrive at Año Nuevo starting in late December. So we do all of our elephant seal adaptation programs live right where I'm standing, starting in late December, early January.
Hey, Leslie, we're going to be joined here right now by Mickey Jones. Mickey's an instructor in Napa, California, whose students have joined you for ports programs before. Hi, Mickey.
Mm-hmm.
Hi,
How are you today?
I'm well, thank you.
So you're an instructor there at Napa Valley Support Services. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and how you've used ports in your work?
I'm an instructor in a day program that supports adults with developmental disabilities. And due to COVID, for the last year, our program has been conducted remotely. This has made providing the appropriate support for our individuals very challenging. And through this difficult time, the Ports program has been invaluable. It has provided individuals with important community interaction. It's given them the ability to see and learn about places most would never have an opportunity to visit.
Mickey, the ports team tells me that you've sent some lovely messages of thanks to them. Maybe you can tell us about that and just tell us about your experiences with bringing your students to the parks virtually.
The letters of appreciation were very well deserved, very well deserved. Our individuals are often intimidated by new situations and a little hesitant to engage with people that they're not familiar with. And Leslie, as well as every one of the wonderful interpreters that we've had the privilege to meet, have been so welcoming that immediately everyone is put at ease and feels totally comfortable in interacting, asking questions, sharing things that impress them, even comfortable enough to make those funny comments, which for them is a big deal. But something else that probably wouldn't stand out to anyone else is the fact that every time an individual asked a question, they were given a very sincere response of good question. For most people, that wouldn't be a big deal. For our individuals, it is. It meant that somebody listened to what they said and they actually thought it was important. The sense of self-pride that gave that individual that asked that question was truly a priceless gift. And not only has the Ports provided that for our individuals, in this really difficult time for them, it's given them something to look forward to. It's given them something to be excited about. It has been incredible. One of our individuals at the close of one of our field trips said to our interpreter, "Thank you from the bottom of my heart." I can think of absolutely no better way to express my own sentiment to these wonderful people that not only do their jobs, they have gone above and beyond for us. And it's truly appreciated. So from the bottom of my heart, I truly thank all of you for everything that you have done and everything that you do and all of the lives that you touch with it. Thank you.
Mickey, thanks
Mm.
for that message. Leslie, I'll give you a
Thank
minute
you,
to respond.
Mickey.
Oh, you're welcome, baby doll. You deserve it.
You made me cry.
Didn't want to do that.
I love children, and I never thought that I would be in this role for state parks. I've loved nature all my life, and I just want it to be a safe space for anybody that comes to visit. And so your praise just reinforces that that's what we're doing. That's what Ports interpreters are doing. We're making it a safe space for all students to ask any type of question, because that's part of the learning process, you know? And I feel like people aren't going to want to continue to learn if we're not giving them that safe space.
Mickey and Leslie, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And
Thank you.
thank you
Thank
for
you.
your sentiments and your comments. It's very, very meaningful. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody. When we come back after a brief message here, we're going to hear a special thank you from educators and students.
Parks California is a proud supporter and partner of the Ports program. The Ports program is not only available to students in California, but to students across the country. Working throughout the state of California to bridge the connection between students and their parks, the Ports program relies on the support of individuals across the United States. Consider texting PORTS to 707070 to pledge your support today.
Wow, that's very moving. It's so lovely to hear from some of the students and teachers who've enjoyed the Ports program. Hey, we want to bring back Brad Cray, the Ports program director, to talk about the future of Ports. And joining Brad in conversation will be Kindley Walsh-Lawler, the president and CEO of Parks California, and Miriam Solis-Colonel, the director of community engagement for Parks California. Hey, welcome everyone, and welcome back, Brad.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Hey, so why don't we start with Kindley? First question for Kindley to lead off here. Can you tell the folks a little bit about how Parks California supports Ports?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Kindley with Parks California, and this is just such a joyous conversation. My face actually hurts a little bit because I've been smiling and laughing behind the scenes. And that last video and hearing from Mickey and the teachers has just been unbelievable. So, you know, Parks California is the statutory nonprofit partner to California State Parks, and we work hand in hand. Brad knows this. We worked with him in early days at under 3 years old. We had to learn how to sit in this space as a statutory nonprofit partner working statewide across 280 parks. So together with State Parks, Parks California sets joint priorities. And we determine the needs based on those priorities. And one of the things that we do, which is just so much fun, is to find innovation in California State Parks. And Ports is one of those amazing pieces of innovation. So you've heard from so many people today about how this program started and how it's grown. But really our role is to find innovation like Ports and then help to scale it. And that's exactly what we agreed to do before this thing called COVID started. Ports was our first formal joint priority to work on together, our earliest partnership. And then suddenly, as we were launching our work together, COVID hit. And we pivoted as a small nonprofit and began working to support Ports program with outside partners that would help them grow and scale. But then as we realized that virtual was the reality for all of us, kids, my kids homeschooling, many of your children, teachers, we wanted to figure out how to help them grow as quickly and as easily as possible. So what did we do? We bought equipment for all the interpreters that you're hearing from. We helped to more than double the number of parks where Ports was coming out from, right? So the people who are sitting in other countries or sitting across the US or here in California, we're able to explore even more. I think it's 50 plus parks now that they can listen and learn to understand what's happening there on the ground, at the beaches, with the wildlife.
Hey, thanks, Kinley. I want to bring in Miriam here. So Miriam, you're the Community Engagement Director for Parks California. Tell us how Ports helps advance equitable access and cultural relevance across state parks.
Oh, such a great question, Michael. And I think first I do want to pause and celebrate Ports. Such an incredible program that I've been familiar with for almost a decade. And it became more real during COVID. And it's because I'm also a parent. So I got to experience it, not just support it through what I knew about it, but now as well. So big shout out and congratulations to everybody from the visionaries, early days, to the people that are thinking about what is Ports in this new century. But, as I think about connecting community, how do we connect community to state parks and to these incredible places? Ports does exactly that. It reduces barriers for all, for teachers and for students to have access to this incredible, high quality, free resource. I mean, honestly, mind is blown, right? As a parent who is also involved with my kids and their teachers, that is amazing. It allows for the students to really see themselves in state parks, especially as we think about underrepresented communities. This is an opportunity for them to really see themselves in these public spaces, whether it is learning about history or culture and the people. That is significant. That reduces barriers and perception about who these places are for and who can come and enjoy them. Mm-hmm. I can tell you a story about just even my daughter getting to enjoy state parks and the Ports program. It was also during the pandemic, summertime, trying to fill the day with great stuff. My daughter tunes in to one of the Ports and she says, "That girl looks like me." Try not to cry, but to be able to see that in kids and to be able to have another person that looks like them, to be able to say, "I can do that too," that is a big deal. And that allows for that child to step in and say, "This place also is fine." But it also allows for curiosity, right? To spark that sense of curiosity and that sense of wonder, just like we heard from the teachers and the educators here. To learn about wildlife, to learn about flora and fauna, science and climate change, and Parker inspiring kids to also pursue careers in these places. All of these interactions are the moments that people connect as people and allows them to see themselves here. As I was talking to my husband about this program early days before, as the pandemic was coming, I told him this program is probably what Rick Steves and the Lonely Planet was for us. We love traveling. And I'm like, this is sparking that sense of curiosity and the sense of learning for kids. For us, it sparked travel. For what you all are doing is sparking content, connection, history, relevancy, everything, the whole package. So congratulations for what you're doing. Thrilled to be a partner on this effort and to make it maybe that double, a couple million soon.
And just those are two fabulous stories, personal stories with Ports, and also amazing descriptions of what the Ports program is doing. Hey, Brad, what's the future look like for Ports?
Well, I mean, I don't know, because we never could have imagined what we're doing now. And I think that the future is continued through continued support, obviously, through our partners like Parks California and our own department and the K-12 education community and all the partners that have ever been a part of this program, that we continue to provide high quality educational opportunities that come from California state parks, whether that looks like broadcasts on television or more staff to do personalized, engaging, interpretive programs like you're seeing here. The sky's the limit. We never set out to do 1 million students. We used to say that wasn't even a thing. And it's true. It's quality versus quantity, right? And what we see is the highest quality programs for us come from one of the interpreters that you're seeing today, somewhere across the state from 50 different parks, talking to 30 or 40 students at one time to really have those engaging, meaningful experiences that you're hearing about today. So our broadcasts are great and all this stuff, but the stuff that goes right into classrooms where there is instant gratification for a student's questions answered. I hope to see a lot more of that. And I have to say, the only way that that's going to happen is if we have more partnerships and these continued vibrant partnerships like the one we have with Parks California. I also do want to say, there's been a lot of gratitude today. If you're online, this is Thank You Thursday, I think, right? So thank you Thursday. And what I want to say is thank you to Parks California. You know, the innovative priorities that you've set, which include us, really make an impact. These kinds of opportunities that we have to get our message out are super important. And this actually is building upon something we did last year for a Giving Tuesday, which was just super fun, super popular. We had a really engaging time online. And Kinley, do you have any highlights from last year's program that we did that maybe we want to kind of bring in now?
I fear that perhaps an arch nemesis of mine may be joining this live stream. Am I correct in saying, oh, Reva.
Kinley. Kinley, I was just thinking to myself, how grateful you must be to have over 1 million kids watch the programs that you guys do, and how grateful that your shoulder probably isn't as sore as mine, because I have been polishing my trophy when we were playing the Portsathon game show, and I have to polish my trophy because I won, and you must be so grateful that your shoulder doesn't hurt because you're polishing. You don't have to polish any trophies at all. Must be terrific for you.
It is, Reva. Thank you so much for your consideration. It is terrific. You bested me. You did. And I can tell you that I have never competed against a puppet, nor have I been bested by one. So there's a lot of firsts here in our relationship. And it is actually really nice to see you. I just am crossing my fingers no one's asking us any questions tonight.
Not this time, but I think we have to have a round two, and I think we will get to 2 million students if you and I do a round two. I think that's the only way to get to 2 mil.
Hey, if we get to 2 mil, I will do that with you. Absolutely. And it's great to see you again. Thanks for making a surprise visit tonight.
You're welcome. Congratulations on the 1 million students. That's awesome.
Congratulations.
I have to give a shout out to Riva the Otter from our AquaSmart Live puppet show that goes out as a part of our Ports programs offerings through our Division of Boating and Waterways. This is another free program that we offer out to schools here in California. And the superstar of the show, to have them, just pop in as a cameo, but that's going to be another highlight, I think, for our annual event.
And now we really have something to look forward to at the 2 million mark. And that'll come up soon, I'm sure. Hey, Kinley, Marion, Brad, Riva, thank you so much for joining us tonight to celebrate Ports. We're going to bring everyone back on screen now for a toast to Ports, to California State Parks, and to the educators who care for students every day, and to the future. So grab your glass if you have one. But first, I want you to take a look at this figure that you're going to see on screen. Ports has reached more than 1 million students with park programs online. The first 500,000 students were reached in the first 15 years, and the next 500,000 in just 2. If you've been a part of this epic journey, or if you're participating today, give yourself a minute to look at this number, think about all that went into it, all that is to come, and let yourself feel milestone. So let's bring everyone onto the screen for a toast.
Get up here, Joe. Oh.
Cheers.
Well, we raise a toast. We
One
raise a
million
toast to the
students,
ports
to the staff at
program.
our parks for helping students learn more about our world, to the teachers who inspire generations to dream big, to the partners and leaders who make ports possible, to the next million students. Cheers.
Cheers. To ports indeed.